As always, you guys, there are microphones over here and over here. This is your chance to ask questions. Please line up, don't be shy. Do you guys like being called antagonists, bad guys? Is that okay or not okay?
I don't mind at all.
I always said it's not a bad guy, right? It's perspective.
What?
I don't understand the word antagonist. Is there a smaller word?
Bad guy.
Bad guy. Hey man, F you.
I mean, Steven, if anyone up here would be considered a bad guy, I think it might be Simon.
Yeah, I kind of fucked myself with that last episode. Oh, we love to hate you, and I was always able to sort of go around it and say, yeah, he's kind of charming, kind of this, kind of that, but now I'm kind of fucked with that last one.
That's okay, right? I mean, because I kind of wonder, it must be tough on this show with such audience interaction, so engaged, that if you're kind of wishy-washy about being a bad guy, it feels like the audience gets more mad at you, but if you're just a straight-up, unashamed villain, then it's okay. Do you think so?
Yeah, well, that's where always the love to hate thing always came in. Like, I don't care, not that I don't like to be loved, but the whole, if you're a villain, just be hated. Nothing wrong with that, but it was a lot of times you don't know where you're going with the show, so you sort of keep it open, and then something like that, it's tough to say he's not a villain, but he's also just trying something to move the needle forward, right? I mean, that's Simon's thing, is okay, we've done Negan's thing for a while, and it hasn't really fucking worked. So, how about we just try this? Now can we fucking get moving on it?
That's what I wonder with Simon. How much of it is being practical, and how much was he just looking for an excuse to let his sociopathic tendencies come out?
Practical.
I wonder, did Simon have breakfast that morning? Was he just hangry? You know, we all make rash decisions when we don't have a really good breakfast, and maybe...
Are you saying if I gave him some applesauce, this wouldn't have happened?
Kind of. I'm saying
It
it's your
does seem
fault.
to be a point where I sort of switched, because I think when I came in, it was sort of like, let's see. Something set me off, that's for sure.
You were looking, for me it felt like you were looking for something to set, he was looking for something to set him off, you know what I mean?
An excuse.
And I certainly gave you one.
Yeah, before we turn it over to these guys lining up, I do want to mention that the scene between you two in this last episode was so great and intense, and I was just wondering what it was like to play off of each other.
I really can't stand Stephen, so it was a really horrible thing to have to do. Till I punched him in the face, and that was just great. No.
Really connected.
How many takes?
How many takes did we do of me hitting you? About 4, I think.
Yeah, you do a lot.
Yeah.
Like you do with all
Sorry
this
about
stuff,
that.
you do so many different angles, and each time you run through the entire 8 pages. So you have...
Yeah, he had all the dialogue, as you may have noticed, so it was easy for me.
Was like, when did I become fucking Negan? Just...
Was the punch scripted, or did you just like deck up for fun?
It was scripted other than the one where I actually did hit him in the face.
Oh yeah?
How was that?
Whoops.
How was that? Is that alright? Do you remember when I popped you on the chin?
Yeah.
And you were like, you finally got me.
Yeah, I'm not great at being hit. It hurt a little, but it was okay.
All right. Well, it was such a good scene. Let's go to the audience. Hi, what's your name and where are you from?
My name's Anya and I'm from Stafford, and if Simon didn't kill Jadis's group, like, who do you think Jadis would have joined?
Is this for me or is this for Stevens?
You can both answer it if you
Oh,
want.
well, thank you.
Can't wait.
You think that Jadis would have joined another group if her people hadn't been lost? Is that what you're saying? You think that she would have gone with Negan or with Rick, and you're wondering which one if this hadn't happened?
Yeah.
Whoever was the most useful to her at the time, you know? I don't think she has any huge loyalty either way, you know, as you may have noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he said.
Do you think she was like that before all this happened, or that's something she's taken on since?
Do I think that she was... I think, yeah, in the normal world, I think that would just be really weird, so, yeah. I think this definitely happened after the change. Why? What?
Well, I mean, she could be the kind of person who maybe she worked in an office and she would just, you know, play the people against each other and stuff
So
like
you're talking
that.
about the element of her character, the sort of...
Yeah.
I thought you meant the whole...
Whatever's more
the whole
useful.
look and everything. No, she wasn't like that before. She wasn't like that at all. In fact, that's one of the reasons that she kind of celebrates it in a way, because it never occurred to her to be that way before, and she was pretty well behaved before.
I mean, I have to say, it was so good to see her drop that, I would call it a facade, I don't know if you would, and show her real self. What did you think about that?
It was just a really strange episode to read when I first read it, and a real shock. And I was thinking, how on earth can she speak? How can I speak in full sentences as her? I'm so used to, the other way. But then, when it came down to it, it just all felt very natural and felt very right. I don't know what your question was.
Did they talk to you about that beforehand, or you found out in the script?
You just keep talking and not
Just keep
know what to
talking
ask.
until I remember what the hell I'm answering.
We perfect this throughout the day when people answer this question.
We become like politicians now.
That's what happens when you use too many words.
Yeah, exactly. I get confused when I speak normally.
Okay, we're gonna go.
It's nothing to do with the fact that it was Cooper's birthday today, and so at midnight we all had a few drinks. It's got nothing to do with that, okay?
The whole audience sang happy birthday to him in the last panel. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, that's right, Cooper. Where is Cooper in this?
Yeah, where's Cooper?
He's out there somewhere.
He's downstairs?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, my name's Sophie. First off, I hate you all in the best possible way. But my question is, what is Simon doing? Like, is he still Negan, or is he, like, rebelling? Like, is he gonna have his own uprising?
I mean, Simon's his own man. He does his own thing. I mean, I think, that was with going with Negan's sort of the way he's gone about things and nothing working thus far as Simon's concerned. Simon just tried this, and as opposed to asking for Negan's permission, which might have taken fucking 6 episodes talking with him, just decide, let me try this, and then he'll go back and rather ask forgiveness than ask for permission to start with. And then, you might have a bit of an argy-bargy, but that's okay for two people to have differing opinions. So I think there's, it's just like, let's try something different. So there's probably gonna be a conversation between them. I just love when Simon came back that episode, because initially we wanted to have Simon have a good, have Jada split my lip.
I was like, he'd better have a scar. He'd better have something on his face.
Because like a woman hits me, I want to be just, smashed in the face and have something. And they were like, no, because then it's going to be too obvious for when you come back to Negan. And we were really pushing for it to look like I got fucking clubbed. No, we can't do that, it's too obvious. Then of course I got a fucking blue boot. Like Smurf boot. I'm like, so we can have a Smurf boot, but not a cut on the face?
He really, really wants a cut in the face, guys.
Should we do it now? Just kidding.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
She lost interest
We
in
just
about
talked,
5
what
minutes
did we
ago.
need a question?
It's a theme.
I feel like we asked that a lot. Did we answer your question?
Yeah. I want to ask you two guys, because what you have in common is you started off as antagonists, and then you turned a corner. And so you've had experience playing both. Do you have a preference?
What was the question? Sorry. Shiny
So,
object.
did we answer your question? Do you feel that we answered your question? Go ahead.
I don't know. I like coming in kind of hot and just being the bad guy, mixing things up a little bit, because then people just really hate you,
Like that?
which I like. Yeah.
I mean, also, Dwight has had it so rough with his wife going over to Negan and Iron. I mean, do you
it's
like all
a-
that stuff too? Just
Do what?
all of that bad stuff that's happened to your character. Do you kind of relish that?
Yeah, I like it. It just adds more to the character, which is fun. But I also do like softening a little bit. I know I came in and just took Daryl's shit, and everyone was just like, I hate you, Dwight, for a long time, but it was fun. I like the reaction.
Sorry. Touch my dress.
Lightsabers.
I remember when I saw the episode where you bang bang to
Bang, bang, yeah.
bang bang. It's the technical term in Hollywood. When you shot Daryl, I was like, oh man, That poor motherfucker's gonna get so much more hate than I ever got for knocking Glenn around. But I think coming in, the bad guy aspect of it is fun because in life we try not to be assholes, and then you're given license to be your best possible asshole. And it's a lot of fun to come in and to find a way to justify and make it somehow believable, the reasoning and the motivation for this despicable behavior.
So would you say that you enjoyed showing the world your best possible asshole?
Constantly. If only I could all the time.
Should we do that now?
What is asshole
Yeah.
sign? What is it?
Oh yeah, what's the asshole sign?
Best possible.
I like how she warmed her hands out first.
What is it? What's asshole inside? Jiggle. Jiggle pinpoint. Oh my god. What was motherfucker? I wanted to see what motherfucker was too.
Motherfucker? Oh, nice.
I don't
Just
know.
like that?
Austin, are there any words you want to know?
That's very cool.
Sorry?
Any sign language words you want to know?
Did that answer your question?
We had one in Australia. Remember in Australia they couldn't even sign it or something? Do you remember what that was?
Yeah. We'd gone beyond their level of cussing. They just spell it out.
The signs couldn't even, there was no signs for what we were saying. But I like asshole. Are you pulling something out or putting something in?
She's doing an asshole magic trick. She's like, watch.
It's like fucking threading.
She's like,
or
nothing in
something.
my hands.
Can
I
we
go to
call you
asshole.
on you like
I pulled
asshole?
out a 20-pound note. Oh my god.
Let's stitch this thing up.
A 20-pound note is basically my best possible asshole.
Well, Steve
What was
has just
the
said that he really loves assholes, so that we know that now too.
Were the fans much different in Australia than here in England? Did you notice a difference?
You're looking at me, but
This is the opportunity to anger an entire subcontinent or pander to the people in front of you, Stephen.
There you go.
Your choice.
I mean, I think
No, you're leading the charge.
the fans are just great everywhere in the world.
Oh,
You're the best fans ever.
Okay, audience, that's one possible answer. Now let's go to an alternate universe where he hates Australia.
I gotta say that the only difference you notice really between places would be, the biggest difference would be Japan and everywhere else. I'd say because Australia, and America is much different than Europe, but that's the biggest difference I'd say, right? Is Japan and everywhere else, because Japan is its own thing, and the fans were completely different there. Just the culture.
What is it like?
So extremely well-mannered, and they dressed to the nines. I mean, they put on their best clothes and manners, and they brought us a lot of gifts. So Japan was
Hint, hint.
As
intense.
an American, I can interpret that for you.
They're
They
way
loved us
better
more.
than anybody.
I've just
very
been
There's a
better
high
now.
bar. There's a high bar.
Yeah, I've heard they're quiet, soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Because they're terrified. There's constantly giant lizards coming out of the ocean and attacking their cities. I would be kind and polite too, man. I want to anger the sea monsters.
Okay, let's do some more audience questions over here. Hi, what's your name?
Hello, my name's Isabella, and I've got a question for Austin. Do you ever think that Sherry will come back, or do you think she's dead?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the whole basis of my character is sort of that he believes that his wife is out there somewhere, you know, so if she's dead, it's going to be a really shitty scene to film, and if she's alive, I hope I get to film that, because I think it's been a long time coming, so yeah, I hope she's out there. Jesus.
Does everyone else want to see Sherry alive?
No. Wow. So everybody wants
Horrible
my wife
response.
dead. All right.
You motherfuckers hate romance, don't you?
Talk to Scott
Who hurt
Gimple
you?
about that.
Who hurt you?
Is Sherry the only reason why Dwight went back to Negan? Stayed there?
At what point? The first time, or
Yeah, before she left.
oh, before she left? The second time. Like when we went back, are you talking about
Yeah,
this, or-
and she became his wife. Either time, actually, but yeah, more the second time, I
The
guess.
second time. Yeah. I mean, it's also, it's like, you know, if he makes any sort of wrong move or he gets caught going out and not coming back, you know, I think he'd get killed at some point. So, yeah, he wants to go back and save himself so he can see her.
But I noticed he didn't seem too reluctant, like he really dove into it, you know? Like he was kind of mean to people sometimes, and it wasn't like it felt like he was in a cult and really trying to make the most of it.
I like that analogy. I mean, that's, yeah, you kind of have to, you know? He's in this horrible, hellish place, so the only thing you can do is really try and make the most of it, you know? It's like fucking horrible. Sanctuary is like the worst place ever.
And now, I guess, now that Laura, is that her name? The savior woman that
Laura,
saw him shoot everybody else and then she ran off. She's going to tell everybody that he's the mole, so now he can't go back, right? I know you can't say what's coming up, but that's what it seems like. Okay, I guess...
You're gonna have to watch the second half. I can't tell you much.
Yeah, okay. Well, if that's true, I'm just excited to see what will happen if Rick's group is forced to decide whether they're going to accept Dwight. Who wants to see that? Yeah.
The same people that want to see Sherry
Nobody.
back, apparently.
Everyone wants me dead.
Who likes Dwight?
3 people don't.
He said he liked being hated.
Next year.
Over here, hi.
My name's Megan, and my question's for all 4 of you. So if the 4 troublemakers were like locked in a room together with like none of their own armies and groups, who would win? Like who would fight to the death?
I think it's pretty clear Nicholas would. Lose immediately. I should finish the sentence. Nicholas would lose immediately. He'd be in the corner punching himself.
I have an idea. Let's do this by applause, okay? Who do you think would be the last person standing? Jadis? Simon? Dwight? Nicholas?
That Nicholas is cool! Oh, who said that? Who said thank you?
Simon? Do you guys...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You agree?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be another showdown, I think.
Yeah.
Jadis and Simon. And it depends if psychopathy or practicality.
Happy with it, but I don't know. I have fun playing with him. So.
All right, you guys, we are at time. Let's give these guys a big hand. Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you! You guys are awesome!
There's not this without that, so.
Can we do a picture?
Group photo. Group photo.
Thank you.